Gentlemen, greetings and welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to talk to you all about how I know that God is real. And I'm going to start this video by saying that this isn't a video where I'm trying to convince you to believe what I believe. This is just a personal account of situations that have happened in my life as to why I believe in God. And I'll also start by giving you a little bit of background info on myself. And fellas, I'm not someone who's grown up in the church. I've never been this religious person per se, but I've always grown up in a family where we prayed every night and we believed in a higher power to some degree. Now, as my life has kind of gone on, I started to question things and I started to seek more knowledge and seek more wisdom. And I've become curious about the different religions that are out there in the world. And I'm not here to say that one religion is better than the next. And I'm open to learning about multiple different religions. I think they're interesting. But I will say that I grew up with mostly Christian beliefs. So this story pretty much starts at the end of my high school career. I had just graduated high school and my grandma had taken a turn for the worse and she started to get sick, and it happened really quickly. She had like some type of heart issue that she had since she was a kid that I really didn't even know anything about, but she was supposed to get some surgery that she never got because she was scared. And so in her mid-60s, that's when she started having heart complications, and she went in the hospital 1 week and a couple weeks later she was gone. And that hit my mom pretty hard. A couple months later, my mom was driving me out to my freshman year of college out in Madison, Wisconsin. And we were driving, listening to music, and then she turned the music down and just started giving me a talk. And basically what she was telling me was that she wanted me to look out for a sign, because she was a big believer in signs from God. That my grandma was okay, that my grandma had made it to heaven, because my mom hadn't seen any signs yet. She hadn't gotten anything. And she just wanted to make sure my grandma was good. And so she asked me to look out for a sign. And you know me at the time, I'm just thinking, oh, like, whatever, okay, like, just turn the music back on. I don't want to talk about all this signs bullshit. That's what I was thinking in my head. But the fact that my mom had a couple of tears in her eyes and it meant a lot to her, I decided, you know what, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll look out for the signs. I got you, Ma, I got you. It's the least I can do, right? So honestly, I don't even really think much of it. I'm not thinking about it at all at this point. So I'm enjoying my freshman year of college. I'm having a blast. I'm playing baseball, and springtime rolls around and it's baseball season. And so every spring, the teams from up north, where I was at, we go down south and we play in a bunch of tournaments because they have much warmer weather down there. So we had one of those coach buses and we're just going on a long 2-week road trip. We're stopping in a bunch of different cities to play. And we were on an overnight trip from Wisconsin down to Arizona. And the entire bus was sleeping outside of the bus driver. Everybody was asleep, including myself. And all of a sudden, we hit this big boom. The bus hit a thump. And it like jarred me, it rattled me. And I was like, did we just hit a deer? Like, what in the fuck just happened? And so I wake up and I look out the window and there's no one else on the highway outside of one car driving next to our bus. In that one car, I looked down at the license plate, and the license plate said in all caps, Ginger. Ginger, fellas. Do you know that Ginger was my grandma's name? Ginger was my grandma's name, fellas. And it immediately clicked. Wow. This is a sign that my mom was asking me to look out for. And fellas, I felt a certain peace come over me. And I knew that that was a sign from God, a sign from an angel. Something heavenly was happening in that moment because I felt it. I felt the peace. It can only be described if you've been in a similar situation. And I looked around at the rest of the guys on the bus. Everyone was sleeping. Not one other person had woken up. So what felt to me like we just hit something, which you would think would have woken everyone on that bus up. Nobody else woke up. So there was something that made sure that I had woken up to see that license plate that said Ginger on it. And from that point forward, I knew that there was some form of higher power directing our lives. That's all I needed to see. I needed proof. And for me, that was my proof. And so I know what you're thinking. Man, Shaun, that ain't no sign from God. That ain't no sign from God, Shaun. That's just a coincidence. That could have happened anytime, anywhere, Shaun. Well, that's certainly okay if that's what you want to believe. And I don't blame you and I don't doubt you for doubting. And you're certainly allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. But to me, that was a sign from God. And I told my mom about it, and of course she was ecstatic to hear that I had gotten that sign that she asked me to look out for. Now, the other thing about the license plate is that there were no other numbers. Like normally when you see license plates, it'll be like a name and then like 2 numbers, 3 numbers, a couple of extra random letters. This was nothing, just Ginger, just my grandma's name. And I was the only person who saw it. It was an incredible moment in my life. And so I would go on and, continue out the baseball year and, life went back to normal. But that moment would stick with me as one of those just key moments in life where something spiritual happens, where you know that God is real. My grandpa also, about 10, 11 years after that, he sent me a Bible. He lived in Arkansas for mostly all of his life, his adult life, since I'd been born. And he sent me a Bible because he didn't really get a chance to be around in person that often. And it came with a handwritten note. And basically what he was telling me in the note was that he wished somebody would have gave him a Bible when he was young because of how many hard years it would have saved him. And he outlined Matthew because he liked Matthew a lot. And so I've been trying my best to study the Word a little bit more in my adulthood and read the Bible verses and the Word of God. Now, I'm not saying I'm some Bible expert by any means, but I'm definitely trying my best to learn. And what I've gathered so far is the amount of wisdom that's in the Bible. It's truly incredible how so many of the messages and stories in the Bible help prepare you for the things that you're going to face in your everyday life, in your real life. And I'm sure the same goes for, other religions as well that I don't really know too much about. But I do believe that it's really hard to go through life and to experience all of the ups and downs and all of the negative things that can and will happen in life without having some type of support from God. Because there are certain things that you go through that you just can't make it through. You can't make it through without Him. I heard Kobe Bryant once say that, I think it was Stephen A. Smith who was asking Kobe, at what point did you know God was real? At what point did you know? He was like, we all know, but when did you really know? And what Kobe said stuck with me. He was just like, when that cross is too heavy to carry on your own, and He picks it up and carries it for you, and he carries you and that cross, then you know. Then you know, fellas. And I think we all have to have our own way and own path to discovering God in the spiritual realm in our own life. But I think it's important that we do so. And I think it's important that you look for the signs and you speak to God and you pray in order to help keep your mind on point and to be able to stay positive despite whatever negative circumstance you might be going through in life. Sometimes you can't do it by yourself. Sometimes the people in your life will let you down. You will be betrayed, backstabbed, lied on, heartbroken. Insert any negative that you can think about. And who's going to be there for you? God will, if nobody else does. And then, fellas, I'm going to tell one more quick story about a time when specifically I asked for a sign and I received one. Now, there's only been a few times in my life where I've specifically asked God to send me a sign. But it's like whenever you really ask for one, and then you also have the ability to look for those signs and to understand when you're getting one and to understand what that sign is to you. The signs are everywhere. And so I had been going through some doubts, let's say, in my own head, in my own life. And I started to question some things. And so again, I leaned back on my ancestors. I leaned back on my grandpa. My grandpa sent me a set of antique pocket knives that he's had since he was a kid. And they sit on my dresser that I have sitting in my living room. And I just remember opening those up and looking at the pocket knives, and I just said, Grandpa, man, I'm going through it right now. Just send me a sign and let me know that everything is okay. And let me know that everything is working out in my favor. Just send me a sign. That's all I want to know. And fellas, a couple days later, a lot of the times you're not going to notice signs right away. It may take a couple months like it did in my first story. But in this case, 2 days later, I woke up, I got out of bed, I did my normal routine, I looked at my refrigerator, I was reading my affirmations that I have posted, and then I have a big, almost floor-to-ceiling window. And I looked out my window, and the sun was rising. And as I'm drinking my matcha tea, I'm looking out the window, and all of a sudden, the most beautiful mockingbird flies right up to the window and is staring me right in the face. And he's just flying there. And if you know anything about mockingbirds, a mockingbird sighting is a sign from God. It's a sign of good luck. And it's a sign of many blessings that are getting ready to come your way. And fellas, do you know that that's only the second time I've ever seen a mockingbird in person in my entire life? And that mockingbird stayed there for about 30 seconds. So long that I was able to get my phone out and take a video. Now, generally speaking, mockingbirds, they come in, they go quickly. They don't just hover around people like that. And so to me, that was a sign directly from my grandpa, from my angel, from God, from the heavens, that was letting me know you're all good. Many blessings are coming your way. Big things are about to happen in your life, sir. That's the sign that I got. And I truly believe that. The only other time I've seen a mockingbird in person was when I was a kid. And guess where it was at? Oh yeah, it was at my grandpa's house. Out in Arkansas, in the country. And it was in a very similar situation. That mockingbird came right up to the window. And me and my grandpa were sitting right there looking at that mockingbird together. And he was the one who told me what the mockingbird sighting meant. So to me, fellas, those are the two stories that I have that prove to me that God is real. And I'm going to believe in him. And I'm going to trust in him. And I'm going to trust in his plan for my life. And I'm going to continue to try to live my life in the best way I possibly can. And Lord knows I'm not perfect, but I strive to be better each and every day. And again, this wasn't a video to try to tell you what to believe. It was simply a video of me sharing my experience on why I believe God is real and he's working in my life. So remember, fellas, you are the prize. Continue to work on yourself day in and day out. And fellas, if you found any value in this video, remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Come pledge to your boy's Patreon if you want to support me and get a whole new catalog of weekly content. And fellas, I'll see you all on the next video. Peace.
I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la.